Hello, everybody. I'm Tech Life columnist Jennifer Jolly, and welcome to San Francisco, California. You know, this is the global flagship hub for technology, innovation, entrepreneurship, and we've seen so much happen here and throughout the Silicon Valley, really. I mean, think about it. Apple, Google, Facebook, Oracle, Cisco, Intel, companies large and small, groundbreaking, life-changing, ever-evolving, now touching every single one of our lives in a myriad of ways, pretty much every moment of every day. So what more fitting place to make a pivotal announcement and bring you an up-close and personal conversation with two men at the heart of delivering the right message in the right place at the right time. Welcome, gentlemen. Sunil Thomas, you are the co-founder and executive chairman of CleverTap. I'm saying it like you don't know who you are, but welcome.
Thank you, Jennifer. It's a pleasure to be here.
And I've been putting this off because I usually mess up your last name, Momchil Kyurkchiev.
That's a perfect pronunciation.
It's only taken me a dozen times. Welcome.
Thank you. Really glad to be here.
You are the founder and CPO of Leanplum. Gentlemen, what are we doing here today?
Today is a very exciting day at CleverTap. We are here to announce that CleverTap is acquiring Leanplum. This is a wonderful story of two fierce competitors coming together, joining hands to build a better together story for our customers globally.
I was kind of wondering why they put me in the middle. I was thinking I might have to keep you two apart. No. I mean, this is pretty amazing.
We're best friends now, don't worry.
So how do two fierce competitors go from, you know, I got to beat that guy to being BFFs?
I think it's a really exciting story, frankly. You know, if you look at it just timing-wise, we got to know each other over a year ago, I would say, and pandemic hit. And what we noticed is that a lot of people are spending a lot of time with their smartphones. They're using their apps, they're engaging more, they're doing more things digitally instead of physically, right? Social distancing and all. And we saw this tremendous wave kind of really lifting all of tech, right? And specifically, what do you do? How do you retain all of that engagement that happened in the pandemic? Well, everybody started to focus on retention. And we felt if we join forces together, we can actually ride that wave and we can really build a much bigger story together.
Yeah, and as both teams were exploring the deal, right, over the past few months, it was just this obvious case of exponential value together. I mean, this is truly a case of, you know, 1 + 1 becoming 11 rather than 2. And a lot of this comes down to people, and as Momchil and the leadership teams on both sides were starting to interact with each other, we also realized a lot of common culture, values within the people within. So it's nice. It's really exciting. I think we are into something. We are into something incredibly good.
I don't like the way I asked that second question. I can feel that you two have a really good rapport, and to think about you being really competitive with each other, and then now you can feel that there is a great friendship here.
It was actually, I remember when we first got in contact, we were kind of deciding, okay, what do we tell them? What do we not tell them? Like, you know, just trying to be a little cautious here, but you know, it is kind of odd in that way, but it's just, it's been amazing. You know, I mean, I have tremendous respect for what the CleverTap guys have built. I mean, just, I think you just won an award in India, I believe, for the most, you know, I call it the most exciting startup. I think technically it's like the breakout startup of the year. And you guys are the clear leader in Asia when it comes to mobile marketing. And, you know, historically our markets have been Europe and North America. And so we can really help with bringing that story to the North American, the European markets, and be better together in that way.
Yeah.
But it's not like you've been sitting around doing nothing. I mean, you've really been busy blazing new trails as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think it's a really exciting opportunity, frankly. Any way you look at it, for our customers, there's just a ton of opportunity. I'm sure we're going to touch on all these capabilities that I'm itching to enable our customers to do. For our people as well. Yes. Turns out we have very, very similar in a way cultures, which is not always the case, frankly. When you combine two companies, chances are you tend to have different cultures and you have culture clash and you have to figure this out. It's actually turned out for us, that's none of our problems.
I can add, it's almost never the case, I think.
Yeah.
Well, most people here know that CleverTap offers blazing fast analytics, powerful real-time segmentation, multi-channel messaging, A/B testing, personalization in one unified solution. Am I getting this right?
You did. You did.
But what's the most important thing that we don't know about CleverTap?
Oh, see, that's a tough question. Can I tell you about CleverTap's deep association with James Bond, Jennifer?
Absolutely.
I don't think many people know that, but we have a deep association with James Bond, and I'll explain. You know, as Mr. Bond goes globe trotting, he's in Prague and Paris and Monaco and what have you. You know, his experiences are remarkably similar. I mean, he still gets the best cars, the Aston Martins and, you know, whatever of the world. His martinis are always, you know, shaken, not stirred. Yeah. You know, his girls are beautiful and everything is set up like that. And just after we jumped into the problem, after founding the company, you know, we really associated with this in a deep way, in the sense, why cannot these James Bond experiences be available to you and me in the digital world as we use apps that we use every day, that we love, but it still feels like a stranger. You know, it's not giving you exactly what we want. So we've really taken this to heart, and you know, we want to create, enable our customers to create these James Bond experiences for all their users. That's utopia for us.
Oh, that is such an incredible idea. And over to you, Momchil. How do we know when we've interacted? Because I know I have interacted with the work that you do with Leanplum.
Yeah, you see our work pretty much every day. When you open your phone, all the notifications that you see, the apps that you interact with, the emails that you get. And what's
but not
funny
the annoying
is,
ones.
Exactly. Most people's association is because nobody does a great job. I mean, most people tend to do a really poor job with these notifications. But reality is, if you get a notification saying your Uber car is waiting outside, that's not an annoying message, right? That's a really useful one. Mm-hmm. And why is it useful? Because first, it knows you. It knows the context you're in. It's timely, and it's relevant for you, right? It actually helps you. It doesn't just spam you. So I think really the essence of what we're trying to do here is take all this clutter away and really make apps feel like they really cater to you and they really, you know, have your best interests in their mind.
You're both at the top of your game. Why this? Why now? And by the way, how did you two meet?
I think we met virtually originally, but...
How did that happen? How did that first phone call happen, and what was it like? Was it a phone call, video call, text?
It was actually an introduction, right, Momchil?
Yes. So actually, I think the two companies got introduced through one of our board members, mm-hmm. And I think I mentioned earlier it was just you know, timing couldn't have been more, you know, perfect in a way, because you know, I think over the last 2 years, people have really focused on I think how to figure out how to take advantage of all this digital transformation that happened mm-hmm. With the pandemic. You know, especially I think in the U.S., they often say the U.S. moved 5 years into the future in one single year because of the pandemic.
Like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were all stuck behind screens more than ever, and so there were a lot of problems to solve, right?
Exactly. How do we actually retain those customers? Now, everybody has obviously experienced a great digital transformation, and how do we actually keep those, you know, players playing these games and users using these, you know, ordering apps and, you know, all this other stuff happening. So it's you know, it was a really great opportunity in a way, and I think we'll look back and we'll definitely reminisce. And, you know, it's a little bit of luck, as always,
yes.
you know, happens.
Serendipity.
But, yes.
And it's funny, right? The earlier few days or few months even were like this high-stakes poker game where you have to play your cards close to your vest, and, you know, you don't know what to say and you don't know what not to say. And it was kind of really interesting as an experience to just go through this, and culminating here today, it's just awesome.
Well, to go back to that question, why this, why now?
I mean, I can answer the why this part maybe. For it's just this opportunity that's in front of us. You know, there are tremendous synergies in the product. For example, in the geography, Momchil talked about it, the world we cover today, and in fact the industries and the verticals we cover today. So, you know, it's just a faster path, or a much more accelerated path to get to the end goal of what both companies want to solve for, is the real reason for this.
We talk a lot about users and getting to that user. But really, at the end of the day, this is people. And you both really bring that to mind for me, that you are people solving for people on the other end of these products. What does that mean for you?
I think it actually brings back a memory from my childhood, because when I was growing up, my mom actually had a small boutique clothing store. And so she did a really great job. She wasn't just selling clothes, she was actually almost acting as a fashion stylist for all of her clients, right? She would get new shipment of clothing, and then she remembered people's names, she remembered what they liked, and I remember she'd get this red dress and start calling, this one person that was into red dresses, and she said, "Hey, I'll just keep it for you. Just come on Saturday, just come on by. I'll keep it for you." And it was amazing because in a way, it's a win-win for both sides. On one side, she gets to get a very, build a business that's, sought after. At the same time, the customers feel like they're really taking, a great, essentially getting an amazing experience out of this, right? And unfortunately, I think this kind of experience historically has worked really well on a neighborhood scale, right? I don't know, maybe hundreds of customers, I would say.
Yes.
And the world is really big, and so you have billions of people around the world. So how do we translate this really great experience, the local coffee shop, the local store for clothing, and scale it up to the world of digital, to the world of mobile smartphones, globally to billions of people? I mean, that's a really, really hard problem.
Yeah, and we were talking earlier before we sat down here, and you mentioned that it's about people on the one side and numbers on the other, and that it's a huge problem to solve.
Yes, it is. I mean, and it's real, and we can relate to it actually offline a lot more, right? I mean, imagine, Jennifer, your best friend, right? And this is a person, say, for whatever reason you haven't spoken to for like 3 years or 5 years. You pick up the phone, there's no love lost, obviously, but the context of your conversation is very different. You're maybe checking up on the partner or the spouse, you're checking up on kids and things like that. And if it's the absolute same person and you talk to her like 5 times a day, the conversation is very different. You're talking about, how yummy your lunch was, or what a wonderful day you had at work, or whatever, right? And that's context. It's the same person, user at the other side. But depending on how often you've interacted, as a brand with that person, knowing the likes and dislikes of that person, anticipating the needs of that person, and so on, is what makes, magnetic or magical experiences, right? And that's the real problem space. And it's not easy. It's hard. And Momchil mentioned your local Starbucks barista. I mean, why wouldn't you go to the barista who sees you for 3 times in a row and already knows your half milk, half soy, extra, double shot, latte, and that's magical. You just stand there and, sort of the eyes meet and your perfect coffee shows up, right? That's incredible.
Yeah, they don't roll their eyes and say, "Oh boy, here they come again." So let me just see if I understand this correctly. Basically, CleverTap, Leanplum, you combine your capabilities, your geographical footprint, your service strengths, your vision for the future, and what you're left with is a kind of silver bullet, really? Silver bullet might be overstating it, I'm not sure, but really we're talking about a silver bullet for user retention, engagement, monetization, while also creating value for customers.
Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, I will say, because I've had the benefit of looking under the hood, when we got to introduce each other with CleverTap, and frankly, I was absolutely impressed with the core technology behind what you guys have built. And, we talk a lot about context, we talk about all of this, but context at the end of the day is data. It's hard math. It's really, really amazing the amount of scale you have to remember for billions of people around the world. And what really surprised me, frankly, is that when I did kind of take a peek, I realized that what you guys have built is both a very cost-efficient way of processing all this tremendous amount of data that's happening, and also a way to be able to really provide an extremely powerful and flexible system, right? And I often think when you look at the space, most times companies kind of compete in one or the other. Like you're either the low kind of cost, or like, let's just say a cost-efficient way of doing things, or you are the powerful, kind of the really flexible solution. You guys have done both. And it really speaks to the core innovation that has been enabled. And that's been a blocker for so many years to really achieve this dream of truly personalized and kind of human, communication between the machine and the human.
It's rare to have both, kind of like Tesla. You have the best and the most efficient.
I often joke about that. Actually, with our team, I say, there's not that many companies that do that, and one that comes to mind is Tesla. Tesla's batteries are probably the most cost-effective on the market, but they also are the most range, the most powerful batteries. And in order to have both, you can kind of think of it as like a curve on a graph, and you kind of have an intersection point. But in order to have both be better, that truly means you have to move the whole curve to the right. It needs to require innovation. And in our space, because this is such a hard problem to solve, nobody has done that. And that, I think, is kind of the essence of truly being able to achieve this kind of innovation is being able to solve this hard problem.
Well, what does solving the problem look like for the customer?
So if we are able to enable our customers to create these James Bond experiences, or your local, barista experiences, or, Momchil's mom's, experience with like upselling, cross-selling, I think that's utopia. I mean, that would be incredible. We are not very far away from it. We are well on our path because, from pretty much from day one at CleverTap, we've strongly believed that modern businesses need to use a lot of data it's all about data and context and relevancy. And we're, on that path, and we're there.
How do you turn data, context, and relevancy into that relationship that we keep talking about, and ultimately that retention we keep talking about?
So people don't realize this, but retention starts on day one. Retention starts the first time a user downloads your app or visits your website and whatever. It starts with a magical onboarding experience. It's like, oh wow, that was a little different. It starts with hundreds of these magnetic moments, right, that are delightful, that remind you that your Uber is outside, or that tell you that your flight gate has changed from A to B, but before you walk to A, right? Like you don't want to make this. So timely, relevancy, contextual, whether it's messaging or whether it's like when you open the app's homepage, it's different. There are new buttons that reminds you that your bill is due in like 2 days.
Right, or that you might get 10% off.
Or you might get 10% off.
The things that make it.
But it's on the address you want. That's the difference, right? And that's the data difference. And that's what makes the difference. That's the only way we know how to solve for user engagement and better retention and better monetization for businesses. And that's really, that's what we want to do.
How do your founding stories play into what's happening here today?
Yeah, so I remember when I started a company with my co-founder, they told us there's basically two types of companies out there you can pick, right? B2C and B2B. And for B2C, you kind of have to pick a personal problem to solve, maybe in your life. And B2B, you pick a problem from your previous employer, right? That was the joke. And at the time, I was working with my co-founder at Google, and we were working on essentially driving engagement and monetization for YouTube, right? And at the time, YouTube was a website still. It wasn't really focused on mobile that it is today, but we could see all the growth of YouTube was coming from the mobile device. I mean, it's just surging, right? And we thought, okay, well, why don't we just do a lot of experimentation? I built some of the core A/B testing infrastructure. Let's just apply that to mobile. And the answer was no, it's not possible. 15 different reasons why not. Ended up leaving, and then we started Leanplum, and literally the first thing we built was A/B testing for mobile apps. We said, we're gonna build this. We know how to build this. We've done this before. And then soon we realized, okay, this is just a means to an end. But the end goal is always what we've been talking about, which is this, building a relationship with the customer, with the communication, with the messaging, with the, emails and push notifications and all that kind of coming together. And that's what we've done over the years. We've kind of built a complete growth platform in a way to enable that for all these apps.
Yeah.
Well, what does that ideal customer relationship look like to you?
It's just the enabling all of this stuff. Like Momchil said, we are B2B founders at CleverTap too. And working at our previous job at Network 18, which is a big sort of media conglomerate, they ran a lot of different websites, different mobile apps, TV channels, and their growth stack was really disparate, right? A whole bunch of point solutions put together, each solution having its own copy or version of the user's data, and it's just impossible to even understand what your users want or you know what they like and to engage with them, etc. It's really hard. So we left, and you know we've created CleverTap, which is we thought this problem was big enough to be solved, and we jumped head on to it.
It feels like we're entering a new era, maybe for the first time since mobile really came onto the scene. Do you have that sense as well?
Yeah, I mean, I actually think that this is mobile is just kind of a stepping stone in a way. This industry has been trying to solve this problem of personalization for, I would say, at least 40 years, right? It all started back in the 80s.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys remember the term database marketing. It was a huge invention at the time.
The big fat book, I remember, Momchil.
Exactly, yeah, I'm sure you have that. And it was literally just somebody figured out that instead of sending the same mailer or whatever communication channels, probably offline mostly, to everybody, you can probably personalize based on zip code, based on some historical information. It was all very basic, kind of the crawling phase, but it was absolutely groundbreaking at the time. And then in the 90s, we figured out, well, instead of sending mail in people's mailboxes, we can just send an email, right? And just apply the same exact things very cheaply over the air, right? And that happened. And then in the 2000s, we introduced web. I would say still probably a lot of the data was static. It was kind of batch data, kind of batch and blast, kind of sending out newsletters perhaps. But we started to get some clickstream data. That was also behavioral data that was interesting.
Yeah.
But I would say it wasn't until the mobile device that it actually started to make sense. Because for the first time, the mobile device is really the most personal, the one that's always on you. And you actually have the ability to engage people on the go. It's contextual, right? And now it's not about static data, it's about real time. It's about being able to really understand as you land at the airport that you just landed, and it's probably best to, what's the next step? You're probably going to be ordering a cab, right? And can I preempt that?
Look for your bags, right?
Or your bags.
Which
And
can also your bag in.
how do you do that in a way that doesn't feel creepy, that doesn't feel overstepping and cookie related? How do you do that in a way that feels good?
No, I can, this is about users, like reducing attention spans, if you will, right? Because more and more we use our mobile phones, the shorter and shorter our attention span is becoming, unfortunately. And users are actually looking to be served, on a platter or in timely ways, as opposed to where they go in and dig and search and, find the information themselves. That's a lot of hard work today. So the expectations have gone high, and of course today's world is that of a much more enhanced, perception of security, privacy, and all of these things. But as long as the user's behavior data is being used for enhancing the user's experience, for that person's experience, I actually think people look forward to it.
And there's transparency around it. That seems to
Absolutely.
be. You've said, I read a quote recently where you said we're so much closer to the starting line than the finish line of what we can really do here. What does that really mean in this context?
It just means that it's a hard problem. Like Momchil said, we've been at it as an industry for like 35, 40 years maybe. And it's a hard problem to bring everything together. So there's just, again, from day one, we've got this belief that you use data, you use it effectively, use it a lot. We've built core technology that we call Tesseract DB for solving this problem. We have product patent spending on it and so on. And it's this belief that we've stuck on from day one that is making the difference. So our innovation going into the future, etc., is along the same principles. There's a long way to go, but it's exciting.
You know what we haven't talked about is company culture. What does this all mean to company culture and your employees?
Yeah.
Go. You go, Mom.
I would start. So I remember, obviously, we started building a product that it builds relationship between a brand and customers, right? And as we were building that, we started to notice something that we were ourselves as employees, as people, actually building better relationships ourselves, right? We started out maybe on, I remember Fridays we got together and we used to do this thing called the highs and lows. And startups are really, really hard, and there's a lot of highs, a lot of lows, and kind of bonded us together. And we realized that, okay, well, this is actually our culture. right? We're building a product for building relationships, but our culture is about building meaningful relationships within our company, right? And it's actually funny because we've had customers tell us, we actually recorded this video about our culture, and the customers would tell us, I know you guys have a culture that focuses on relationships. I can feel it just from the way I engage with you, with the customer success people, with the technical support people, every touch point I have with your brand.
You might not be able to feel that, but you can feel that when you sit in a room with these two. It is all about relationships, and that is really special.
Actually. Yeah, and I can add to what Momchil's saying, because we've codified our culture into values and things like that. You got to do this over a period of
what
time.
you have to do for the business plan.
We have we have an acronym called PILOTS, and all of our employees are growth pilots or culture pilots or whatever. And the PILOTS stands for something. So it's like think and act from first principles is the P, or take initiative, be urgent is the I, be humble, seek to learn is the L, and so on, right? And through this, like the past few months, it might be codified differently at Leanplum, but it's just so similar when you meet everybody. I mean, there's not one out of those 6 values that are like different. So I see this almost like like a big fat Greek wedding, or a big fat Indian wedding, or a Bulgarian wedding, right? Because it's like it's going to be a lot of people coming together. Now, obviously, when mergers of this size happens, culture will change. But I just feel that it's going to be a reinforcement of what we already live on both sides, and I think it's just going to get better.
We're not in a Twitter situation here. Can I mention that? Is that wrong to bring that up? I'm so sorry,
No.
but that's the other sort of thing that we've all been talking about so much lately. And I just have to tell you, the amount of respect that you have for each other, you're so proud of the work the other has done. You really are bringing the best together. There's a synergy here that I don't feel that often in the Silicon Valley. It's really
and
amazing.
I didn't get to sort of add to what Momchil said to that question, Jennifer, because the respect is absolutely mutual. I mean, when we founded, I remember Leanplum was already a couple of years, into the market and actually serving customers and so on. And we used to look for, like really admire the work they've done with the brand, and it was this Leanplum and all of their like sort of documentation that the users follow. And this is boring stuff, right? It's like follow, but they wrote it in the form of recipes, and they said like 30 minutes, and 30 minutes is how you set out a campaign to tackle abandoned carts and things like that. And this whole thing came together as a wonderful little brand. I mean, and in our industry, we hide products from each other. It's not like you can go look at each other's products. So we only knew a little bit deeply about the products, or like under the hood. But we always used to admire this, and that's so there's a lot of respect on both sides.
Absolutely.
Well, how will CleverTap and Leanplum really be better together? I think you both have mentioned a lot of touch points along the way here, but talk to us about how you will truly be better together.
I think the biggest really problem in marketing technology is really an unsolved problem, which is this problem of being able to truly build contextual marketing that takes into account the end consumer and doesn't feel like spam. It feels like it's relevant, timely, and it builds a relationship with the consumer, right? It's not a solved problem. It's been, we've been trying to solve this problem for 40 years as an industry, but only lately do we actually have the tools that enable this. The amount of technology, the data processing, the real-time nature, the AI capabilities. So I am really excited to be able to join forces, because nobody has really gotten there. Like we need to get there, and I feel like together we can get there faster.
Yeah, and I can add to that with just some numbers maybe, right? I mean, this merger is going to create like the world's first retention cloud. This is just, bringing amazing innovation and capabilities in the hands of our customers. This merger is going to bring a family of like 500 plus 600 employees together. Amazing talent in product and engineering talent, especially in Sofia, Bulgaria, in Mumbai, India, in New York and Pasadena, and all of that stuff. This merger is going to bring $100 million of revenue company before the end of this year, and a company that's poised to grow 10 times from where we are today over the next 5 years. So There's just a lot. I mean, I'm just so excited about it.
Yeah.
I just can't talk
I-
enough about it.
I think I speak for everyone here today. We're all really excited about it. This is such a refreshing experience, I think, for all of us. You know, there's a quote by 3LA's Rod Banner. It goes something like, as in human partnerships, successful brands of the future will converse with us at moments that matter, using a rich repertoire of emotions. And this new caring relationship means that brands will belong to their customers, to you, not the other way around. But that relationships themselves will be crafted, nurtured, and valued thanks to innovation and ingenuity. And we sometimes refer to this as mad tech. I think we're seeing it really not just start here, but enter a new era here. So I cannot thank you enough for sharing this giant, momentous announcement with us, spending your time with us, and you know, just giving us all of this insight into your world. So really, really appreciate it. Sunil Thomas, Momchil, Kyurkchiev. Did I do it?
Got it right again.
Did I do it? And
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.